Hello and welcome in a new lecture of English literature and linguistics. Today we will discuss a topic of linguistics which is semantics, pragmatics and discourse. First of all, we will discuss that what is semantics and pragmatics and how they are closely connected with each other. Not only has semantics now become an important area of inquiry in linguistics, but it has also been extended to the level of pragmatics. Pragmatics is seen by some linguists as an independent level of language analysis, as it is based on utterances in the same way as phonology is based on sound, syntax on sentences, and semantics on both words and sentences. So, the link or connection between pragmatics and semantics remains, however, that at both levels we are concerned with meaning. Semantics attempts to relate meaning to logic and truth and deals with meaning as a matter primarily of sense relations within the language. Pragmatics attempts to relate meaning to context of utterance. Moreover, it views language as action which is performed by speakers. The first question that we will discuss, that what is the context of utterance? So, a sentence is uttered by a speaker, and when the speaker utters it, he or she performs an act. This is called a speech act. Since it is performed by a speaker in relation to a hearer or addressee, it depends on the conditions prevailing at the time the speech act is performed. So these conditions include the previous knowledge shared by speaker and hearer, and the reasons for the performance of the act. All these taken together constitutes the context of utterances, like speakers, hearer, sentence, and utterance. Meaning in this sense involves the speaker's intention to convey a certain meaning which may not be evident in the message itself. In the sentence, there is, for example, the sentence, "There's a fly in my soup." The message is that there is a fly in my soup, in which the speaker's intention may be to complain or to inform. So the meaning of the utterance contains the meaning of complaint. A hearer hearing this sentence may interpret it not just as a statement but as a request to take the soup away. That is, the meaning will include some intended effect on the hearer. The consideration of meaning as a part of the utterance or speech act was initiated by the philosopher J.L. Austin. He wrote his article that "How to Do Things with Words," and developed laterally by J. Cyril and then H. Y. Grice. So let us consider Austin's idea first. Keeping in view the above distinction between the speaker's intention to convey a particular meaning which may not be evident in the message itself, Austin makes a distinction between sense and force. Sense is something that is propositional content or logical meaning of a sentence. Austin calls it the locutionary meaning, while force is the act that is performed in uttering a sentence. So it is the performative meaning that defined by Austin as all illocutionary force. For example, the utterance "please shut the door" is an imperative sentence. The logical or propositional context is that of shutting the door. It will have the force of request if the speaker and hearer are in some relationship which allows the speaker to make requests to the hearer. So the hearer is in a position where he is capable of shutting the door. There is a particular door which the speaker is indicating, and the door is open. So if all these conditions are not fulfilled, the utterance will not have the force of request. uh, we can chart the meaning of the above sentence as please shut the door sentence from imperative sentence and then shutting the door someone. In this sentence, sense and force are very similar to each other. However, in some cases, there may be a difference. For example, if the speaker says, "Can you shut the door?" the sentence form is interrogative. The sense is can plus you plus shut the door. That is, the logical meaning of the sentence is a question about the ability of the hearer to shut the door, and evidently in the sense of the modal verb can. However, the force is still that of request. In such an utterance, it is clear that the sense is not the total meaning of the utterance, and that if only the sense is considered, the utterance will not succeed as a successful communication. If the hearer takes only the sense of the above sentence, it will understand the sentence only as a question regarding his ability to shut the door. And it is only when the force of the utterance is understood that the hearer takes it as a request to shut the door, provided all the conditions for the performance of the request are fulfilled. So in other instances or examples, there is even more discrepancy between what the sentence says and what the speaker of the sentence intends the hearer to understand by it. But between the sense and force, there's a cold breeze coming through the door. An example that there is a cold breeze coming through the door is a statement in terms of form and sense, but the speaker may intend it to be a request to please shut the door. In this way, there can be any number of variable meanings of the same utterance. So this raises a problem that how can we interpret a sentence when sense and force are very different and nothing in the sentence itself indicates that its force can be. Here a distinction can be made between utterances which are more conventional in nature and others which are more individual and situation specific. For example, "Can you shut the door?" which is an interrogative sentence, is the kind of utterance which has become conventionalized to a great extent, so that a hearer is less likely to misinterpret it as a real question, and more likely to understand its force of request. But in the case of "there's cold breeze coming through the door," or "it's very cold in the room," or "are you immune to cold," there is a more indirect manner of making the request to the hearer. These are more dependent on the relation between the speaker and the hearer. While the conventionalized utterance can occur in many situations, the variable utterance can occur only in specific situations like informal or friendly, etc. Only under such conditions will the hearer be able to infer the intended meaning of the speaker. It is for this reason that Grice presented his article "Logic and Conversation," which was published in 1975, explains that all communication takes place in a situation where people are cooperative. When people communicate, they assume that the other person will be cooperative and they themselves wish to cooperate. Grice calls this the cooperative principle. So this principle was initiated and presented by Grice. Under this principle, we can see few different maxims. The first maxim is maxim of quality. sorry, maximum of quantity. So maximum of quantity give the right amount of the information, the actual amount of information, neither less nor more than what is required. Only the required thing is presented. The next maxim is maxim of quality. Make your contribution such that it is true. Do not say that what you know is false or for which you don't have adequate evidence. The next maxim is maxim of relation. Be relevant. Maxim of manner. Avoid obscurity and ambiguity. Be brief and orderly. Then these maxims, different maxims, are different from rules, in that while rules cannot be violated, maxims are often violated. So that is, people often give more or less information than required or make irrelevant contributions. When this happens, some implied meanings arises as a result. For example, in the interaction, where is my box of chocolate or chocolates? The second option is the second sentence is, the children were in your room this morning. In B sentence violates the maxim of relation because the reply is apparently not relevant to A's question. Proper response to A's question would be that B answers as A's question about where the chocolates are. Since B doesn't give this answer, it implies that B doesn't know the answer, and also implies a suggestion on B's part that the children may have taken the chocolates. Similarly, in the interaction, A, I failed in my test today. B, wonderful. The answer wonderful, which is quite inappropriate. So in this case, B's response violates the maxim of quality, in that the expression wonderful here is not an expression of delight or actual wonder. A's statement is not such that would demand a response of exclamation of delight. That such a response is given by B means that B implies something else. The negative of wonderful meaning it's not wonderful, but by giving a response link like this and violating the maxim, B is implying irony. The implication generated by an untruthful and exaggerated statement is sarcasm. Implication generated by an opposite statement from the one expected is irony, and these meanings are possible through the deliberate violation of the conversational maxims and are called conversational implicatures by Grice. The insights provided by these theories of pragmatics have helped us to understand meaning as part of communication rather than as something abstract. They have also helped to analyze units of linguistics organization higher than the statement sentences, pairs of sentences taken as units, and sequences of sentences taken as texts, leading us to the analysis of meaning in connected language, which is called discourse. Now we will discuss what is discourse analysis. So discourse analysis, as soon as we begin to study meaning in language in relation to context, we find that it is situated within two kinds of context. One is the extra linguistic, the content of the external world, while the other is the intra-linguistic, which means the linguistic context in which that piece of language occurs. So for example, words occur within a sentence or sentential context. Sentences occur within a context consisting of other sentences. In the analysis of language at the level of discourse, we are concerned with this intra-linguistic context. So discourse is a level higher than that of the sentence. It includes all the other linguistic levels like sound, lexis, syntax. All these continue to make up our discourse. But here we must distinguish between the grammatical aspect and the semantic pragmatic aspect of discourse. The former creates a text and the later creates a discourse. Um, in the former, words continue to form sentences, sentences combine to form a text. Just as there are rules for combination of words, there are certain relations between sentences and rules by which they may be related. These rules of sentence connection create cohesion in the text, which is the most important feature of discourse analysis. At the same time, these sentences are also utterance. They have a force which is vital for understanding their meaning, which are combined to create coherence. So, keep in mind that coherence and cohesion are two vital and significantly important features of discourse analysis. Thus, we may distinguish between text and discourse in the text is created by sentence cohesion and discourse is created by coherence. A discourse may be defined as a stretch of language use which is coherent in its meaning. It will, of course, include grammar and cohesion. The following is an example of discourse which is both cohesive and coherent. Speaker A, can you go to Karachi tomorrow? An interrogative question. The hearer B, yes, I can, indicates that these two examples indicates that the second sentence is linked to the first in sequential order. It is also coherent because B has given an appropriate response to A from A's request. However, in the following example, can you go to Karachi tomorrow? There is general strike. The two sentences are not cohesive because the second sentence is not linked to the first sentence in a grammatical sense. There is no repetition or obvious connection between the two sentences, but they are coherent because B replies to A's request in a sentence which gives some information implying that it may not be possible to go to Karachi. Thus, this exchange is coherent but not cohesive. So, in order to analyze discourse, it may be necessary to consider all aspects of language, the grammatical as well as the semantic and pragmatic, but not forgetting the role of the intonation, the rise and fall in the pitch of sound. So, grammatical forms which are used to link sentences and create cohesion can be of several kinds: logical connectors such as and, but, conjuncts such as, also, equally, furthermore, contrasts such as, instead, and similarly for thus. Apart from grammatical features, discourse is constituted of features which are particular to the mode, tenor, and field or domain of that discourse. The mode may be spoken or written. In spoken discourse, there will be feature of inexplicitness, lack of clear sentence boundaries and sentence completion, repetition, hesitation, interaction, and maintenance of different features. While in written discourse, there will be features of explicitness, clear sentence boundaries, and more complex sentences, formal features, but no interactional and monitoring features. So, the tenor of discourse refers to features relating to the relationship between the speaker and the addressee in a given situation. So, these features reflect the formality or informality, degree of politeness, personal or impersonal touch. Thus, if the relationship is a polite one, there will be respectful terms of addressee like sir, Mr., and indirect requests rather than commands. So, if the relationship is one of familiarity, the features will include terms of friendship like dear, darling, direct requests, and imperatives. Lastly, field or domain of discourse pertains to the area of activity to which that discourse belongs. Whether the discourse is in the field of religion, science, law, journalism, advertising, in each field, the discourse will be characterized by a particular kind of vocabulary and sentence structure. Like sports commentary uses present tense, advertising uses many adjectives, literary discourse often freely combines features from many kinds of discourse and occupies different status from other types of discourse. So that was all from my side. Today we have discussed in this lecture semantics, pragmatics, and discourse analysis in detail. And we have discussed the connection of all these three subfields or subdivisions of linguistics. Hope it would be beneficial for all of you who are watching this video. Thank you so much for your watching. Keep supporting and keep watching. Inshallah, we will meet in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz.